Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to be talking about some observations that I've had regarding the behavior of some Christians. But before I get into that, I wanted to show you, I don't know if I had gotten this, I think it was a few months ago actually. It's the latest addition to my skull collection. It is a skull, but it's vodka, and it is unopened. As you can see, it has not been opened. It is still very much full. Just to a point, it shows you how much I drink. It's something that sooner or later I will drink and have some of that, but it's not something that I typically do. And it's one, I have alcohol in the house. A lot of times I don't even think about it. Because I had gotten that one because it goes nicely with the 3D skull that my girlfriend had put together for me. She got it for me and was nice enough to put it together. And the original one that I had gotten when I was in the Army is, I think it's quartz, but it is quite solid. I have a collection of skulls. It's one of the things that I like, as well as my gargoyle collection and things like that. But the things that I've noticed regarding Christians, now, I won't say that this is all of them, but it does seem to be the vast majority. Not only are they obsessed with this Jesus character, they are completely ignorant regarding what is actually in their Bible. And when it's pointed out to them what is actually fucking there, they will act as if the person pointing out what's actually fucking there is making things up. Even when you show them the words on the motherfucking page, they will act like you're misinterpreting it. Or you're changing it you're twisting it. No. The aspect of, and when I say I don't interpret anything, I don't. I just go by what do the words on the fucking page say. Now, to be fair, the interviews that I've done with Mark Powers, I'm sure he would be quick to point out that, like reading from a King James Bible, you are reading an interpretation because it is Hebrew that it was written in, the Old Testament. The New Testament was written in Greek, for the most part. The thing is, if you're reading it in English, you are reading a translation or an interpretation. So there is that aspect. And as Mark has pointed out on some videos, the interpretation or translation of King James leaves a lot to be desired. But I had one person, I don't believe they were a troll, I think they were just somebody that was mentioning about like God being a female. And I was, okay, what evidence do you have for this? And they said about the voice they hear when they pray. And what I had said, I didn't intend, and I hope they didn't take it as I was being snarky or I was trying to blow them off. I wasn't. I was very serious when I said, if you're hearing voices, get help. Because if you hear God's voice, go to the doctor. Check yourself. It may just be a brain tumor, or it may just be schizophrenia. The thing is, that's the real issue. Is if you believe you are hearing a God or anything talking to you that isn't there, demonstratively, that you can prove it is, they are fucking there. If you're hearing voices and it's from something that isn't observably someone there, get yourself checked, because there's something not right in your head. The thing is, one of the things I had come across, and it's something that I find I feel rather accurate. It is actually a quote from the original, I guess what was originally in the script for Star Trek, the motion picture. If this is your God, he's not very impressive. He's got psychological problems. He's so insecure he demands worship every 7 days. He creates faulty humans, then blames them for his own mistakes. He's a pretty poor excuse for a supreme being. Spock, Star Trek motion picture, original draft of the screenplay. I find it interesting that that was in the original draft, because it's so accurate. It's so fitting for what the God of the Bible is. It is petty. It is narcissistic. It is the most vile creature in all of fiction. The thing is, when it comes to things like the subject of hell, the Christians that I've dealt with, and what seems to be the predominant with Christians that will bitch about that is, well, for one, they bitch about the calendar. And for those that want to bitch about the calendar and being that they can't take me seriously because there's a calendar, really, I regard that as an attempt to try and distract from this actual topic. So for those people, here we go. You want to bitch about a calendar? I have a whole hell of a lot worse. There is just limits on what I can show on YouTube. But it's something, if I could find a better outlet than YouTube that wouldn't have the limitations, I would definitely go for it. Although I wouldn't want to, and to be fair in that regard, I would, just to be kind of sticking it to them, stick the knife in and twist a little, because I can be a dick like that. I mean, I'll admit it. The thing is, for people that want to bitch about a calendar, it really shows me they have nothing. And somebody that would want to bitch about this animation, get over yourself. I mean, really. The idea that a God would exist and would give a shit. The aspect of, let's first think about this in the aspect of, if a God would exist, why the hell would it care what you, me, believe? Why would it matter what we believe? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, what a person believes or doesn't believe cannot change what is. Just like what you have faith in. You can have all the faith in the world about your Jesus and the bullshit of him returning. It's not going to happen. Jesus was a fraud. I have shown that in the Bible. When you look at what is actually fucking there, if the God of the Bible would be real, Christianity is wrong, because the God of the Bible called the Jews his chosen people. If the God of the Bible is not real, Christianity is wrong. because the God of the Bible wouldn't be real. Either way, Christianity is wrong. There's no other way around this. Christianity is trying to ride the coattails of Judaism, but if the God of the Bible, the God of the Jews, exists, it wouldn't go for Christianity. Christianity would be idolatry, blasphemy. It would be having another God. The whole 9 yards. And for Christians to try and act like they have faith in Jesus, so what? Jesus was never a God. Because in the aspect of Christians calling Jesus a God, you know what, Christians, you know what that means? It means your religion is based on deicide. I'll say that again because apparently you Christians just don't fucking get it. Christianity, the entire premise of it is that the God that you want to claim to believe in had to kill itself or be killed by people in order for you to be forgiven. Now, let's think about this. Let's think about what that is saying about this God figure. And let's also bring in the aspect, it's another quote from Star Trek The Next Generation, but it's one that I love. If we're going to be damned, let's be damned for what we really are. And that, in a nutshell, is what no Christian wants. That is why you want to have this idea of Jesus dying on a cross for your dumb ass. Because the truth of the matter is, none of you want to be, to use the term, judged for what you are, for who you are. Because you have this attitude that you can't obey the law. And I've seen some Christians in my comment section actually say that I can't obey the law. Really, how are you not in prison then? Any Christian that wants to say it is impossible to obey the law, how are you not in prison for theft, murder, rape? If you can't obey the law, how is your dumbass not in prison? That's my first question. There is also the aspect with regards to this law bullshit. The law that the Christians talk about, the law that Jesus talked about, was the law of Moses. The thing is, Jesus was right to talk about the law of Moses because he was talking to fucking Jews. And Jesus was a Jew. The law of Moses is directly to the Jews. Those that are not Jews do not have to obey the 10 Commandments. There are about 7 that are termed the laws of Noah. I'll get into them in a future video because I have some issues with a few of those. But just to cover what those are quick, 2 of them deal with what I term thought crime. The aspect of believing in a God and worshiping a God. No. Fuck you. No. If a God would exist, first thing I would say to it is, you want me to believe you exist? Prove it. Give me evidence by which it would prove to my mind or to my satisfaction that a God exists. That's number 1. And to ask me, well, what would convince me? I don't know. I honestly don't know. However, if a God would exist, it would know. what it would take to convince me. So do it. My second issue, because even if the God of the Bible could be proven to me definitively to exist, would I worship it? Fuck no. Reason being, the same reason I wouldn't worship a Hitler, a Stalin, a Pol Pot, a Kim Jong-un, any other tyrant you want to mention. Just because someone exists or something exists doesn't mean it's good. Just because it exists doesn't mean I'm going to go along with its program. Just because something exists doesn't mean what it is advocating is a good thing. That is where, and it makes me wonder, it makes me seriously wonder, and I asked this once to the internet evangelist who I had interviewed, and his answer caused me basically to lose my shit. When I asked him, if you honestly believed God was telling you to kill your children, would you do it? And he said, yes. I lost it. To me, that is somebody that should not, one, they should not have kids. Two, they should not be a free person. If somebody is going to behave that way and openly admit that if they believed a God was going to tell them to kill their child, that they would do it. Someone like that doesn't deserve to be in a free society. Now, I recognize that we can't put someone in jail until they commit a crime. And that is, in a sense, I'm a bit torn when it comes to something like this. Because I recognize what our legal system has, and it is, in a sense, it's only fair, but it's also, in a sense, not fair to that child or that person is going to hurt or kill. That somebody has to suffer or die before we can take action against somebody. Now, granted, we don't know somebody is going to do X, Y, or Z. And in that regard, we can't do something, stop somebody before they do whatever fucked up shit they're going to do. Because there's always a question of, would they actually do it? But in the aspect of, if a God would exist, if it's all-knowing, it would know. And it would be able to step in beforehand and completely prevent it. But then, and this is where we get into a bit of a paradox. If a God would exist and would step in to stop someone from killing their child, could that God punish that person for what it knew they were going to do if it stops them before they do it? That is where it makes me kind of wonder the aspect of, could you punish someone for what they haven't done yet, but knowing what they will do? Because in the aspect of an all-knowing God, if a God knows the outcome of all situations, all time, why the fuck would we be going through this? Because it would know who was going to this heaven and who would be going to hell. So why would we have to go through the song and dance? Is it so that, basically for the God to justify for its own sadistic whatever. The problem with that is, number one, going by the Bible, Christianity is fucking wrong. No matter how you slice it, it's wrong. It's immoral. It's unethical. It teaches nothing. It rewards thoughts over actions. Because for as much as it disgusts me, the idea of somebody killing a child, when it comes to Christianity, there is a loophole that you could drive a Mack truck through. That being, just saying you believe Jesus died for you washes it all away. That is disgusting. I have said this, and it's something that I'll say again, because our society, our court, does not go by this idea of Jesus paying the price for you. Could you imagine a society that would? A society where you could have a man rape a woman. Let's make it a Jewish girl. Rape and murder a Jewish girl based on Christian bullshit. That Jewish girl's going to hell because she didn't believe in Jesus. Gets worse. That rapist, and murderer, when he goes and appears before a judge, going by the Christian John 3:16 through 18, if that's the way the courts would be set up, all he would have to do is say, I believe Jesus died for me. He paid the price for me. And the judge would have to look at him and go, well, in that case dismissed, you're free to go. Not only would he not go to jail, because he got saved, he's going to heaven. That girl, Jewish girl that he raped and murdered, is going to hell. Christians say they're about justice. Where is the justice in this? Where is the justice when you have a loophole that all you have to do is say you think something? Because what is to stop that person from going out and doing it again? And then when they're taken to court again being, oh, Jesus died for me, I repent. How many times should we let that happen? If you go by what Jesus said, how many times? A day? 70 times 7. Nobody has ever gone to court over 490 times in a day. And that is what Jesus advocated. How many times should you forgive somebody? 70 times 7 a day. That is offensive. I don't see, honestly, how somebody can say that they are a Christian and have any morals whatsoever. To me, when I hear someone is a Christian, what I hear is, I'm an immoral ass. I'm someone that I have no value on life because Christians can't. Not only that, they have a fucking death wish. Their entire religion is based on this idea of everything's going to fucking end. But they have their afterlife bullshit, and that's where it gets even worse. When you try to tell them their hell is impossible, they get pissed. Because these people want those not like them to be tortured. This isn't just a matter of it's sadistic fantasies that are in the fucking book. These jackasses actually want it. I'm almost thinking they're jerking off to the idea of someone being tortured for not thinking like them. And that really shows just how sick and evil these people are. it shows me that Christianity is a mental illness. It's a virus in the mind, and it has infected far too many. And just because I focus on Christianity, Islam, don't think you're getting a free ride. You're just as vile. The thing is, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't think I'm being too harsh. If anything, I don't think I'm being harsh enough. But, because the aspect of justice, it's one of, because I had a friend ask me about without the idea of hell, how do you have justice? How do you have the punishment of the wicked? And what I had said to him is, you can't punish evil with evil. All that will do is perpetuate evil. Because to torture somebody, it doesn't prove they're right. It doesn't prove you're right. It doesn't prove they're wrong. It doesn't teach them anything. It doesn't change anything. So what does it do other than to appease your sadistic desires? And if that's all it is to make your sadistic ass feel better, why should you feel better with being able to inflict sadism on someone else? Then you're no different than the one you want to torture, providing that person was a Hitler or a piece of shit that was going around killing and hurting people. Thing is, if it's just somebody that doesn't think like you, someone like me, not only doesn't kill anybody, I wouldn't. The thing is, not thinking like you, that deserves to be tortured. Why? What did I do? Because of the aspect of the making fun of somebody. Really? Laughing at your stupid bullshit, that means I should be tortured. Christians, think about what you're saying. Think about the moral implications of what this is saying and what it says about you. It doesn't say shit about me. What this is saying is about you and about what you value and what you want. And that is why. It's one for Christians. If you want to know why an atheist and an anti-theist like me is so much against your bullshit, look in the fucking mirror. Look at the shit that you guys say in my comment section. Take a fucking look at it. But feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Yeah, and everybody, for those that are wondering, yeah, I haven't shaved, and this is about as long as my facial hair gets. It's a bit fucked up, but this is the way, basically, with me, it's always been. And yes, I'm getting old. The aspect of men are like dogs, we go gray around the muzzle first. Yeah. Because as far as the top of my head and so forth, I don't really have my hair turning white. But right here, sure as fuck do. And I'm not one, I refuse. Not that I can't really grow a beard and so forth. This is all there would be. But I would never do this dyeing my... No, fuck that. One, sooner or later, this is going to get to irritate me and I'll just shave it. But it's the aspect of that. And I don't have a receding hairline. In that regard, I think I'm like my grandfather, who he died in his 80s and he had a full head of hair. My dad, on the other hand, has a receding hairline. So genetics-wise, I think I'm more like my grandfather. But Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Later, people.